All right, kind of help you understand how to look at anybody, anything. I'm gonna take my daughter. So here she is setting up. Now I don't point none of this out to her. There's no need right now. I just know what to watch for. So now she's set. She does a little whack, her thing, whatever that is. All right, now, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but if you can, here's what I'm looking at. This is good. The head, ears, all this out and over. Out and over probably somewhere out in front of the ball, but out and over, not tilted behind it. There's no kink. Now the different levels of shoulders is because one hand's higher than the other on the club. Now, I'm gonna watch, but you gotta watch it when this, all right, here's what triggers or activates on the backswing. This leg, this side, will kick inward. It's gonna do it's doing all the movement. When this moves, all right, when this collapses, it brings this spine that way. So now, her sacrum coccyx is over here now, all right? So she's moved this way. Here's what happens. She's collapsed this in, so the shoulder turn that should never turn past this leg, inside this leg, her spinal engine, her brain, her body's understanding of itself is bringing the inside of the leg inward to where what you have here is very little there's very little separation, if any, of the thoracic and the pelvis. All right. The more you can minimize the separation. All right, here's what you're actually seeing. I want you to think about this. So you got the pelvis is going to go left. The upper girdle is going that really middle, or turning. This side's turning forward, backward, left, right, whatever you want to look at it. But for the most part, this is going inward. This is going that way. So as the upper girdle looks like it goes that way, the lower girdle goes that way. So that's how the two play together perfectly. If you have to think about it, you're doing it wrong. Back a little bit. So at this point, her spine is moved, probably her lower basal spine moved from right here to about right there. So probably 4 inches, 3 or 4 inches at least. All right, now, at this moment in time, you can see all this tissue right here, right through there, all this shoulder, all this tissue is connected to her upper girdle and arm. Then you've got this right here that's coming through, releasing the pow-pow. Now, see where her hands are? That's out in front of her. She's not coming from the side of her. She's swinging around the front of her. You hear pros talking about the golf swings out in front of you? Yes, it is. It may get to the side of you for a short while at the top. Really at the top is it goes to the side of you for an instant and goes right back out in front of you. So this foot action, here's what's happening. Because her spinal engine and spine is axial, and that's the spine, torso, head, because this is pivoting, all this tissue in this canister right here is connected to the iliac crest on the inside. Her legs are connected to the iliac crest on the outside of the rim. Because this is moving, turning. Let me see. There's the top of her head right there. All right, because she's staying out and over, it looks like she's dropping, but in fact, she's not. She's staying out and over, maybe getting a little bit longer in the spine area, a touch. Here goes the thoracic and torso turns, hits it. So there she is. She's out in front of her toes. She's still out in front of her face, legs, toes, feet. This is turning. Technically, she's still out in front of herself. It's not. Does it have to be in front of the sternum or right in the middle? No. She can't have. You can't be. Let's just say right here. If her hands are right here, that'd be stuck. That'd be done. Now, because it's out in front of her, you can see all the tissue here, all the tissue here. She's good. Big cavern right here forming. That's good. The caverns will be the width of the head. That's good. All this that's turning is pulling this. Now her spine went from, her sacrum and coccus went from probably right here. Now it's over here. So when you watch this, watch how much this moves. It moves to here, then moves back around to there. All right, and the reactions you see in her feet are coming. If you watch back of her knees, you'll see how quick, whenever this up here is pivoting, it's sending messages, telling these things down here, because what happens is all these anatomy trains that come back through here, back of the legs, under the feet, side of all 8 of them. When something happens up here, a reaction happens, it pulls on things accordingly. You don't have to worry about it. So people go, well, look at her foot action. Well, her foot action is a result of what her pelvis and hips via, if you don't understand your torso, if you've ever been deer hunting, all right, and if you cleaned a deer, this is important. When you cleaned a deer, the front legs on the deer, you can just cut them right off. It's just attached to skin. The rear legs of the deer, you got to cut out of the socket. All right. So this is no different. These arms, your arms are not your scapulars are sliding glide on tissue. All you do is you cut ligaments up on the sternum, on the front of the rib cage, and that's all that's connected by tissue. So what I'm saying is this canister, head torso canister, yes, it's got arms on it, but the head torso canister, if you just didn't think about the arms for a second, when it pivots and turns, it pulls and it dictates what all this is doing. Now, what people think is they're going to push and do all these things down here to make this function properly. And okay, here's why that doesn't work. Number one, these things don't propagate thoracic pivot and turn. All right. The minute you, literally this line right here on both sides of her is or it's actually right there, but I mean, literally this is doing all the turning below the axis of the neck and head. And because when this goes, it does what it's designed to do. And another thing about her staying out and over, Whenever you're leaning this way, leaning right, you're already breaking rules of ranges of motion. You're breaking down the spine. You're putting yourself in a position not to succeed, number one. But because she's operating from here, all the reactions down here are perfect because they're reacting off of this. Now, we don't talk about hitting with the right or left. We don't need to. She learned to play golf here, controlling squaring up the club with the upper body, arms, hands, all of it, and not really worrying about it. Because she swings up into an away pattern, that pattern alone squares it up. She knows this. So we don't have to really worry about any of that. We did have to worry about, she will swing it. All right, I told her when we set up, we are, let's just say wide or normal. Transition or end of the backswing, we're gonna be tighter, not tight where your arms touching your body. All right, here's why your arms should never touch your body. The minute this arm touches this moving torso, it throws this off. These got to swing independent. Realize this is your spinal unit. Thoracic rib cage, spine, head. Well, this rib cage has got a pivot with the weight of the arms on it, with the weight of the club, with all the G-force that comes from arm swinging, the club swinging. This thoracic's got to deal with that. This spine has got to deal with that. This axial spine's got to deal with that. All right, it's busy doing everything you see it doing here, moving. It's busy not locking down the base of it. It's busy, the psoases are busy moving things where they need to move. All right, and letting this pivot and turn. It's busy trying to keep this head unit somewhere between the feet unit. All right, but when we start getting all whacked out with heads over here and tilted spine, I mean, it's like I explained to her, what you see here is not a tilted spine. It is a spine out and over, but because her right hand has to go out in front of the grip, it's her right side of her spine now kind of turns inward, forward, all right? That's not tilted. I know people want to say tilted, but tilted would be the right and left sides of the vertebrae tilted side to side. That's not what's happening. The right one goes inward because of the right arm reaching out. It's most in the right, and it's when it reaches out. All right, when it reaches out, the humerus has got to help it do it, so it brings the spine that way. So here is good. What I'm looking for is where does this thing maintains a distance. It actually this joint right here. All right, this joint for her was getting way over here. Here's why she got sloppy. People, all they want to do is see her hit it far, see her hit it. Where her ego got involved, her adrenaline, so she starts doing that for people. And on the in real golf, all right, she's learned if she stays out and over, all right, balance, the ability to turn right then turn left, the ability to transfer through the hit, all of that is a function of this arm, both arms actually, but understanding the radius, the right side of a throw, hit, swing, whatever, this side is the smaller circle, not tighter, smaller circle, and the bigger circles on this side. So it's an oval, makes it an oval rather than a circle. But she learned that yesterday because she was trying to reach back. Finally, I let her out of the box on hole 13 because I figured she's suffered long enough. But I'll let her suffer so she understands the difference. If I fix her right away, she won't get it, just like you wouldn't get it. You gotta suffer all day and realize why. So what I look at when she's done is, I love the shirt she's got on because I like how all this is leveling back out. It's rebounding back to normal. She's not staying posed in a posed fixed position, because that's bad. That creates bad muscle memory, or collagen and tissue hardness, let's call it. Here, again, the big thing she's got to work on and realize is the club face is aiming here. Her body is parallel to open, or it's got to be out of the way. All right, just say that. Now I know it doesn't look it, but she's pretty pigeon-toed. I don't mess with that. And when she does, that means her knees break inward. Breaking inward knees is the same thing as diagonal leg stance. You have got to break the structural hold on you one way or the other. She's out and over. I like that. A big indicator, what I look for is the head posture. I see a lot of bad head posture from the T1 up. You'll see necks kink right or leaning right, or up. People's need to get behind something instead of understanding that if you set this up, again, the spine, this head is setting this. Where your head is in time and space, pretty much functionally sets all that. Now, again, you can break or kink it from here, but that's, again, you normally wouldn't do that because this thing wouldn't do that. That's your eyes and people's vision and them wanting to be behind something. That's really their stupidity causing that. So she took the club inward right here. Great. She broke in with this leg. Sacrum's over here. Left shoulder hasn't crossed that point. Left shoulder hasn't crossed the golf ball. Well, put it this way. It's probably right on the front of the golf ball. The left shoulder has not crossed her midline, which is awesome. Her spinal engine's going all right. We haven't done anything to break any of our rules, so I'm gonna give you this 8-iron from 168, 11 feet dead behind the hole, with a ball mark 7 inches in front of where the ball stopped. There's a reason this girl can hit the same clubs I can hit, the same yardages, is because she doesn't break. She's learning how you can't break the spinal engine rules. And when you do, like, watch this transition. Cool. All right, see right. Watch it right there, elbow, and then this elbow, this forearm's gonna break and it's gonna rotate around this elbow joint. You see the tissue already starting to do it right here. Boom. Yep. So I'm gonna just do it in real time. You can see it better. Awesome. Now she understands. She plays pings, but she's learning that they are set up to hit it a certain way. The toe's going to tumble over. She's just going to hit draws with them because they're built for anti-slice. But she's learning she don't like that. But she also there's no way. She realizes what she's doing. She's taking the weight of the weight that's transferred in the golf swing is these arms, this torso, and this club. Let's just call it arms and club. Well, that's orbiting in front of us, not necessarily around, but around. Let's call it 90% in front, 10% around. All right, so because all this weight's way over here, our brain, body, spine, and everything is going. There's no need to shift anything. All right, she is what you see when you see people on video and they go get on these weight transfer boards and things like that. The little bubble that moves in them. If you go get on one, move your arms in certain ways and watch the bubble move in certain ways. Let's just say, do like Lee Trevino, move your arms out and away from you. Well, the little where the weight's going will go a certain direction if you're letting it. And here's the difference: you got people that do that, and the bubble goes where the bubble goes. Those are your high-end players. You got people that do that, and then they counterbalance. Those are your low-end to medium players. All right. When you understand that all the transfer of, how do I say this? If your arm units, let's just say this, if your arm units are 30% of your body mass, call it 20. When they go into motion, especially orbiting in arcs, but when they go into motion, period, they now weigh 3 to 7 times more than their resting weight. So let's just call it 5. Well, technically your arms now are exact same weight as your body weight if they're 20%. Keep it simple. So you're moving technically the amount of your body weight once they go into motion because of G-force and things like that's what G-force and all that's about. So why would you want to start, number one, shifting and then having to control balance? She's not having to deal with any of that. Now, all of her now has got all this weight, let's just call it, and it's going to bring it. What her torso, body, and brain's doing, I want you to understand something here, is trying to swing her hands and arms back through where her hands and arms were. Not matching a dress. It's not going to match a dress. It can't because her thoracic's got to pivot. So it's going to appear she's open per se. It's trying to swing it back out and keep it out in front of her. All right. That's what all this is trying to do, is swing these back through them. Not back the club back through, not the club head back through the ball. That's why we don't have to worry about controlling the face and doing all this stuff, because there's no need to talk about it. It's sending it back through itself as best as it can and knows how. Because she's inward, outward.
I'm going home.
So, things I never would talk to her or anybody I'm playing with about. If you feel weight shift, you're doing something wrong. If you feel hinges, you're doing something wrong. If you feel tightness, if you feel your arms, let's just say, notice right here where her sleeve is, all right? People call it connected. All right, it is actually, here's, how do I say this? Her thoracic is knowing it's with arm swing, how do I say this? Coordinated. For instance, if you look here, if you look at the angle of this upper arm and the angle of this, if you were looking from the top side, they would be parallel almost. If not, yeah, they would be parallel. All right. Here's how anatomy trains in the body and the tissue works. See this slight, to her, it feels like curvature. all right? When you add up all the tissue from the fingertips all the way through the arm segment to the shoulder to, even the ground if you want to, but just let's say the arm unit here. All right, when they all do what they're doing, tense, don't tense, activate, don't activate, some people call it soft muscle, whatever you want to call it, whenever they're playing, they're going to form a curve, all right? That's what they're going to form when you're working properly. When you're working improperly, it'll be a straight line. That's you trying to take joints and bones and swing them and bypassing tissue. That ain't gonna work. See a little pinky here coming off? Perfect. That is her spinal engine regulating the exact output of force she needs for this shot to be successful. All right, and when we stay inside our ranges of motion, all right, here's what people don't understand. When you try to go create larger ranges of motion, all right, all you do is cause damage to your body because your nervous system, your nerves cannot stretch. They cannot. You're never going to get them to go far. It ain't about the structure, it's about the nerves. So that's maxed out range of motion relative to our head, neck, all right, which is going to be, if you have a chin, the left jaw line, not the left point on the chin, the left jaw line. So that is roughly about 45 degrees. Because the thoracic's focused on the back, okay, on the backswing, the left side is probably doing this. All right, I'm not saying the left arm, I'm just saying her left side, the thoracic and the leg. All right, when it goes this way, you're gonna see, if you pay attention, it passes it to the right. There's the right activating. And here's kind of the weird thing. All right, this segment of the right takes over, but because of the diagonal chain, so the backswing's ipsilateral, the downswing is contralateral. And that's why for instance, your right leg, when you're operating properly, you don't feel this leg doing anything ever. Here's what I see. When I see this, I see all this way these muscles are turning, twisted a touch, because the pelvis is swung around. Think about where her sacrum swung around the femur too. So long term, when you get junked up, it will be things like that. This is okay and natural. So nothing wrong with that at all. That's all this has to do this because, again, this torso, skin tissue all the way around that's turning, and I'm not talking about the abs, I'm talking all this stuff turning, this pelvis has got to go. It has no choice. Put it to you this way. Most people think at the top of the swing, her pelvis is pulling the torso. No, it don't work that way. It may be staying out ahead of it. I'm going home. Or actually here's actually what it's doing. So here's what it's doing. It's going, all right, from the top of the swing, where do we need to be for the finish of the swing? And it gets there. But see how she's doing this fluid and smoothly? That's your cerebellum. When you do it fluid and smoothly, you hit it, you have unlimited power abilities. That's why I tell people 20%, no more than 20% is what it's going to feel like. When you get into kinetic reactions, you start breaking every rule in the spinal engine, collagen. There's a lot of rules, joints function. It don't last. It don't work. That's why the next day it's like, oh, it's a guessing game. She's not guessing. She's playing golf. So here's what I look at. If I mapped out anything, it would be the head radius on this side of the swing will be closer to her. Let's just say this. It would be closer to the center of her brain. All right, if you want to know exactly what I would map it out to. And on the and whatever's, and draw a line from the center of her brain down. That would be the center of the golf swing. Now on the other side, the head path is a bigger C. Small C, big C. Small C, big C. That's everything you do. Throw in, you name it. But this is, when I look at people send me videos, and I could care less what this club's doing, because I understand I'm just let this play. I understand her thoracic's trying to swing her arms units back through where they were. All right. Her leg units or have to set things to where it looks. When you ever notice when you walk behind people, they look like they're aimed up way left, or for me it would look way right, but it's not way right. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Even if she's side on, all right. Even if she's not, because see, she's pinched in. Here's the thing, all right. Most people are side on, legs out, knees out, structurally just pounding down on themselves. When she breaks the tension by her knees ever so slightly pinching in with that opens up all the joints and all the systems, and gives her place that she can move in and out of her joints freely. It signals, the thoracic and everything's like, okay, I'm going to pivot. Your functional lines that are right here, connected right here, and go down, that are part of the thoracic turning. Everything is fun. If I did lines, or I wouldn't do a line in the body, I would do a dot in the middle of the head, because that is the axis. Or I would do a line between the two brain hemispheres, but I would do a dot in the middle of the head. Because that's where it's at, period, in the story. And that's why this thing moves around so much. So now all of a sudden what she's done is she's going mobile, hypermobile here, moving this around, stable up in here. So she's creating proprioception, sort of like when you see a chicken and his body's moving around but his head don't move. That's happened. The neck and everything is allowing things to pivot within ranges of motion based on the jawline, head, and neck. What I love about when I watch her head is it actually moves a little bit left. And it's gonna get moved that way because of everything that just moved out in front of her. It should get sucked that way because of the tissue. All right. I mean, when I see my daughter, what's amazing is when I see my daughter, it's a culmination of everything I've learned and knowing what to say and not to say, and watching things happen as they should happen. Where if she went to an instructor, they'd be telling her to load this side. I mean, they would run it for her so fast. That's why people run it for in softball. I mean, that right there, this right here, is as good as it gets. See all these tissues and see all everything, boom, boom, boom. It's all, you got lateral lines, you got deep backs, you got everything, you got spirals, you got them all hitting a golf ball. But in order for them all to hit a golf ball, you can't move too fast. I'm not saying move slow. I'm saying move smooth and fluid, but move. She is trying to accelerate through the ball with this section. Nobody, it sounds simple, but nobody talks about the thoracic in golf. Nobody. Out and over for the win. Out and over for the win. I'll go on the hole. Anyway, enjoy.